How many trees do you see in your neighborhood? A lot? A few? Not enough? From Mumbai, Beijing to Manila, DW analyzed whether most people in Asian metropolises live in areas with lush or sparse tree cover. We look at 50 major cities in Asia. What we found was there's a high level of variation. Only 4 cities are marked blue. That means most people in these metropolises live in areas with a lot of greenery. Colombo, Sri Lanka's capital. Mumbai, the financial capital of India. Yangon, Myanmar's largest city. And Chongqing, one of China's most populous cities. Let's take a closer look at Colombo. Almost 40% of people living here have many trees near their homes.
We have a large, green spaces like Vihara Mahadevi Park. We have a good tree cover. Then very close to the Colombo, we have green natural areas. So it also contributes to a high percentage of tree cover.
But the lush zones are actually in the suburbs, not in Colombo proper, which is densely populated with people, but not with trees. As you can see in this map, densely populated areas with few trees are shown in blue. It's often the case in central areas in Colombo proper. For example, near the Colombo port city, a special economic zone along the capital's seafront. Tree coverage is sparse around this area, sometimes even close to zero.
So if you look at the coastal roads, we have high-rising buildings coming up, so no space for trees because nobody like to have a tree because tree has an economical value, not only the horizontal space, vertical space has a high value, so there's no room for trees. So that is one reason. And in our country, these network of roads were developed sometimes back, and now we can't provide much space for trees. That is a real issue.
In case you were wondering, for this analysis, a city is a group of entire metropolitan areas. In the case of Colombo, it includes the grey city centre and green suburbs, like Negombo and Panadura. As you can see in this map, a green colour represents areas with a lower population and high tree coverage. They are concentrated in the sprawling suburbs. Darker shades blending green and blue show the places where there's a significant population as well as tree cover.
It's very important to protect trees and green spaces in the urban context. And can those both exist and coexist, build spaces and trees and urban greens? Absolutely, and they must. We have many examples of cities where they're trying to reestablish the green cover, where green cover, has existed, has kind of gone down significantly, and now the cities are making concerted efforts to bring back green cover, to bring back tree cover. Cities like Bangalore, Kochi, Bhubaneswar, Mumbai are making these kind of efforts.
On the other end of our analysis, this is what we found. What do these cities have in common? The graph is lopsided to the left. This means most people living in these metropolises live in areas with barely any trees. The number ranges from nearly all residents having no greenery like in Riyadh, to 4 in 5 people in Karachi, more than half of the people in Kabul, about a third in Tokyo, and around 1 in 4 in Dhaka.
South and Southeast Asia are in a state of emergency after extreme heat levels.
Hundreds of millions of people across South and Southeast Asia are facing soaring temperatures and drought as a heat wave grips the region. Dozens have been killed by heat stroke in Thailand alone.
Bangladesh is one of the countries most vulnerable to the impacts of the climate crisis. It's currently facing its longest heat wave in 75 years.
Temperatures in the Indian capital, Delhi, reached an all-time high of 52.3 degrees Celsius. That's a national record for India.
last year and this year we are facing heat waves. So it's a real issue, and temperatures are going up, especially in urban areas. So urban heat island effect, to reduce the urban heat island effect, trees can play a big role, because most of the trees can give a very good shade, and they have high transpiration rate, a lot of stomata. So they can effectively contribute in thermal comfort in urban areas. That is one of the great environmental benefit that we get.
I think it is really important to look at, trees as a means for providing shade, and not just shade for, your everyday walk to the park. A large part of our employment in India, for example, is informal. So over 80% of workers are engaged in informal sectors, are informal workers. And what that really means is they are the people who are working outdoors for the most part. So they are construction workers, they're gig economy employees, delivery agents and people of that nature. And for that, segment, it becomes especially important to have access to shade in cities. And that is becoming very important because as heat is increasing, your mortality, illnesses, lack of productivity, loss of livelihoods is going to just keep increasing. It will have implications at the individual level, at the city level, but also at the overall sort of economic level and in terms of the GDP of the country. And so just from that perspective, it's very important to ensure that we have enough shade and trees in cities.
Among the Asian metropolises we analyzed, nowhere aside from the Gulf Desert cities is more in need of trees than Karachi. 80% of people there have barely any tree coverage near their homes.
Karachi is in the desert. All around Karachi is a desert. It has no hinterland of trees. There has not been much plantation that has taken place over the years as it could have taken place. That has not happened, but it is happening right now. For instance, a very large area on the hilltop has been converted into an urban forest. Trees have been planted there in a big way. And it has, I think, changed the landscape of the hilly area of the city considerably. And it is something that the city wishes to continue with, something that will be very positive for the future. In addition to that, trees are being planted wherever there is space for them to be planted. And this is new. And of course, there is a water shortage because this is being a desert. What is being used is recycled water. And much of the parks that are being built, being created now are using this recycled water because we have no other source of water in Karachi.
The 50 Asian cities analyzed span biomes that range from tropical forests to deserts, and climates from tropical monsoon to arid zones. Indeed, climate, terrain, and biome play an important role in tree coverage. The top 3 cities, Colombo, Yangon, and Mumbai, all have a tropical climate, which naturally favors more green spaces. Cities in desert regions usually have sparse tree coverage. But geography isn't everything. Cities in roughly the same climate and biome can often have different tree coverage levels. Manila in the Philippines has most of its population living in treeless areas, unlike lush Yangon in Myanmar, even though they have a similar climate. So, how can urban cities increase tree cover?
If you look globally, I think one of the examples that is famous the world over and that everyone talks about is Singapore. Being one of the very densely populated cities in the world, but has an excellent strategy around preserving, protecting, and conserving their green areas. So you see a lot of nature-based solutions in Singapore, for example, which very meaningfully integrate sort of nature and green into developmental areas, even the ones where you don't, places where you don't expect it. And in small incremental ways, you can see, vertical gardens on the one hand, vertical greening rather on the one hand along sort of, vertical spaces and walls. But then you see these large sort of networks of parks and green corridors also that they have managed to preserve. So I would say Singapore, of course, is a wonderful model for how they have managed to do this, and in a way which integrates blue-green infrastructure with the grey infrastructure and the built-up infrastructure really well.
What's being done to increase the tree cover where you live?